On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, we are basking in the glory of the gold medal won by Team USA. It's been a few days since Saturday when Steph Curry took over for the last 3 minutes, hit 4 threes. The last one was absolutely bonkers. I don't say this lightly, and I mean it seriously. It was a where were you when type moment in basketball history. Just an awesome game against France, but an awesome run for Team USA. So fun. It was competitive at different times. We blew out Brazil. It wasn't not every game was were we down by 17 like we were against Serbia, or a 3-point game with 3 to play like it was against France. But the rest of the world has gotten better, but we're still top dog, and it was an incredible run for USA. And Tate's joining me like he has throughout this entire run to talk about it all and some of our favorite moments. LeBron's the MVP, Steph is the hero, and KD is the guy who just gets labeled like Mr. America or Captain America or however. I guess LeBron was getting a little Captain America, but it's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the guy who is the best international player of all time, and to see those three guys playing together, it was perfect. It was a perfect ending. But I don't think it was the end. I talked with Tate about it a little bit. I think they might be back. There's a timeline in my head where all three of those guys are back in LA. If they're not, and that was the last we saw of them, what a way to go out. So freaking fun. So Tate and I talk about the gold medal game. That was a few days ago, sure, but it was, as I said to him, and I'll say it to you right now, and I'll keep saying it, it was the most enjoyable basketball watching experience I think in my life to watch Team USA on this run to gold. Not that I didn't think we were the favorites or that I was surprised by any of it, but that's not what I necessarily need out of my basketball viewing experience. I just thought it was basketball bliss. It was perfection. They didn't always play flawlessly, but it was just so freaking fun at every turn. Even when we were losing to Serbia, which was very frustrating, but when they came back and won that game, and even the start, even with we were losing to Serbia, Steph was going off in that game. So there's just always something throughout the entire run, going back to the exhibitions, that made it super fun, and the promise of Durant and Curry and LeBron on the same team together absolutely delivered. What an ending. So Tate and I talk about that. But first, I had Mike Rutherford on the show. I promised I would bring him on. Promises made, promises delivered. Rutherford joined the show to talk about the Louisville basketball. I don't want to get ahead of myself and call it a resurgence. I don't want to say they're fully back, but Louisville went to the Bahamas, beat the shit out of a couple teams. And yeah, under normal circumstances, it's not that big of a deal. But given what Louisville basketball has been the last few years, especially the last 2 under Kenny Payne, there is some serious optimism and hope in Louisville basketball circles right now. And Pat Kelsey has a fun team, I think, on the horizon this year. So I had to get Rutherford on the show, talk about the Bahamas trip, some of the players he's fired up about. Pat Kelsey feels like a little bit of a weirdo, but is that a bad thing? Like I don't know. I talked to Rutherford about it. I did get his input. I don't know a ton about the guy. I don't mean to be accusatory with that, although I guess calling someone a weirdo is never something people take as a compliment. So apologies for that. But at the same time, Pat Kelsey's got some tendencies that make you scratch your head and you go, does this make him an awesome coach, or is this going to make him a weirdo? I don't know yet. Rutherford's pretty fired up about him. I will say this. I'm confident in this. He's going to be better than Kenny Payne, and Louisville basketball is going to be relevant. I don't know if they're going to be making Final Fours. I don't know if they're going to be winning national championships and winning ACC titles and all that sort of thing, but Louisville basketball will come on my television this winter, and I will not change the channel, and that's kind of all I can ask for right now. So anyway, Mike Rutherford joined the show. He's a longtime friend of the program, comes on the show all the time, and it had been a while, and I'm excited about Louisville basketball. And usually we have Mike on, we shit all over Louisville, so I figured let's have some fun and talk to him when he's got a smile on his face. So Mike Rutherford on the show. Then I talked to Tate about Team USA. Please enjoy. All right, our buddy Mike Rutherford is here to talk about the new look Louisville Cardinals basketball team. Just got done with a 2-game Bahamas trip. I only know about 2 games. Did they only play twice?
They played twice. You're correct.
They scored 111 points in both games. They beat a very good, extremely good, I think Lenardi had him on the preseason bubble, the Bahamas select team. They beat him 111-59. And then they beat my beloved Calgary Dinos 111-71. 2 absolute beatdowns. So, like, in normal circumstances, I don't look into this at all. I do not care about this at all. I don't care that a team goes and beats the shit out of like two teams that, we have no frame of reference of how good they are. What gets me excited, Mike, and why I wanted you to come on the show is that the Louisville basketball Cardinals are, one, moving the basketball, and two, making shots, and it has been a long time since I've seen that. I assume you are just as excited. You're more excited. You're a Louisville fan, but I assume you're coming away from the Bahamas trip putting more stock into it than a rational mind probably should.
Well, let's talk rationally. That Bahamas select squad, they played UNC Wilmington before they played Louisville. They lost to them by only 8.
Mm-hmm.
They had a guy score 51 points in that game. I don't know if you remember if UNC Wilmington played Kentucky last year. I don't know if anyone remembers how that happened. So, am I saying Louisville's going to beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena by 40? Stats say otherwise. It's just you put 2 and 2 together. And the Calgary Dinos, as far as I know, they won 20 games last year in the Canadian Basketball League, returned their top 7 scorers, played Rhode Island to, I think, within like 20-something. So we're feeling pretty good. Now, in all honesty, I wrote this after the game. Like, the first possession happens. Like, Louisville fans have been very excited for the last 4 months. Pat Kelsey comes in here. He tells us, I'm going to do the sports to relationship thing, where we're too dumb to make any sort of other metaphor.
Right.
It's like you've been in this just terribly abusive relationship, and they've treated you like absolute shit, and they never do anything for you, and you're down. And when you finally start to learn to love again, you want them to lie to you a little bit. Like you want them to tell me I'm pretty. And Pat Kelsey has done a great job at doing the whole this is Louisville basketball, for God's sake. I've got to pinch myself every time I wake up to remember that I'm the coach. We love that. So it's been a great 4 months, but I think that Louisville fans were still noticeably hesitant to buy into anything just because we have KPTSD. It's not PTSD. It's Kenny Payne. And so, we wanted to see this team actually play. The very first possession, Louisville wins the tip. They have guys sprint into their spots for their half-court set. They make 3 really good, crisp, convictive passes. Everyone's where they're supposed to be. Kason Pryor gets the ball for a wide open 3, drills it. I'm not even lying to you. It's not hyperbole. I felt like a weight lifted off my back in that moment. I was like, holy shit, I'm watching actual basketball again for the first time in 4 years. And you're right. The competition was what it was, but to see them have a game plan that it seems like everybody's bought into, to see them have 38 assists in the first game, it just was it felt like we have something that we haven't had for the last 3 off seasons, which is legitimate, well-reasoned hope. And that's right. For now, that's enough.
Yeah. And relevancy is on the horizon. And I think that's the baby step you want. And there are names that people will recognize. Now we do live in a transfer portal era where it's hard to keep track of what anyone's roster looks like. But I imagine most casual college basketball fans have not really paid attention to Louisville's roster because of the insane turnover and a new coach and all of that. But there are some names that people would know. Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards, I think for JMU was a guy that popped onto people's radar in the tournament when he actually they played Wisconsin, right? They played Chucky and Terrence played each other. Yeah, I just now drew that connection. Those would be the 2 I would say that stand out to me when I look at the roster. Who else, based on 1, what you're hearing about practice, or 2, what you saw in the games, whatever else, what are some other names that you think that, as people are paying attention to Louisville this year, the transfers that have come in, that are going to pop within the first couple months, say, in the season that you think are going to be awesome for this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's the good thing about they've got 13 new players. They've got 1 walk-on back. Shout out to my guy, Aiden McCool. He's keeping that roster retention, that continuity. Which we all love, but 11 of them are going to play this year. I think 8 of them played in the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of guys that have played college basketball for a long time and that have won. You mentioned Hepburn and Terrence Edwards are 2 of the big ones. The other guy is the guy, just Kason Pryor from South Florida.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy. He got, this stuff's not official out there, but I think everyone kind of knows he got the biggest bag of anybody this season, because it was – and you knew that Louisville dropped a bag because it was he's down to Arkansas and he's down to, I can't remember who the other school was. I think Alabama. And then all of a sudden, snap of a finger, it's like, he's going to Louisville. He signed with, but you're like, oh, we gave him 7 figures or whatever. It
Brian Bowen
being.
vibes. This was the easiest recruitment of my life.
Just fell into our lap. What do you want me to say? But like, he's a guy. He's 6'10". He can handle it. He can shoot it.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who like grew up as a guard. You know, the classic story where like he was 6'2" until he turned 20 years. He grew 8 inches, so he plays kind of like a point forward. I think that people are really excited about him. And then my favorite player on the team, I think so far is Javon Hadley from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he helped them win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament last year. And he's just that dude. Like, everybody loves Tad Boyle. And when Tad Boyle talks about, you know, you're the unsung hero of our team and he's the jack of all trades, like Louisville hasn't had a dude that you can just rely on in like 3 years. A guy who you know is going to get you like 11-8 on any given night, do all the little stuff, you know, all the cliches that he's a junkyard dog, like all that. They haven't had a single player like that in probably 5 or 6 years. And to have that type of guy, that type of presence, I think is going to be really comforting for a lot of U of L fans. So I think those are the biggest names, but they got 11 guys. I think 10 of them expect to play big time minutes.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to figure it out on the fly as far as, you know, who's going to be a little bit disappointed.
Pat Kelsey, his first few months on the job, is he winning over the Louisville fan? I mean, I'm guessing you're just going to say as long as we win, that's all we fucking care about at this point. But does it feel like a cultural fit, both in terms of how he's handling press conferences, how he's approaching the job, but also like the up-tempo style of play? Is this something you think Louisville fans will be receptive to? The deep rotations, all that sort of thing. Like, does this feel like a perfect marriage, or does it feel like we went and got a coach and we're hoping it's going to work out and he won't be worse than Kenny Payne, and that's all we're really excited about right now?
It feels like a perfect marriage now, for sure. It's like you said, you don't win games in the off season, but so far it's gone about as well as anyone could have hoped for. One of the things that we always talk about, and I've done radio here for a while, and it feels like we've had like coaching search radio for 4 of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because, you know, after Kenny Payne's basically the Lenore Ryan exhibition game, it's like, all right, who else is on the list? That was 2 years ago. So, but one of the things that always comes up is, you know, Louisville's one of those like 5 or 6 programs where you have to be able to handle all of that periphery stuff. Like, you've got to be good with the media. You've got to be able to handle insane criticism. Like, we talk about basketball 365 days a year in Louisville. And for some people, that's not like they don't want that. And one of the things when Dusty May was kind of emerging as the big candidate after Scott Drew said no, one of the things that kept coming up was like, he doesn't really want that. Like, you know, he doesn't really want that constant spotlight. He wants to go somewhere where maybe there's a football program. And I do love that Louisville fans have just started like hating Dusty May. They're, you know, it went from like he's the savior to like he's a bitch. He could never. So like we like the Louisville Michigan rivalry suddenly is just like it's in flames right now. You know, they're never going to play. But Pat Kelsey, he does seem like he's a Cincinnati guy, but he seems like a Louisville guy in that like he's got no hobbies besides basketball. Like this is what he does. You have to be the right type of insane to thrive at Louisville, and I think type of insane. Like he speaks our language all the time. Like he's great.
I was gonna say my initial read on him, and he's been at Charleston for what was it 2-3 years? 3? I don't know. I remember how long he was there. Like I wasn't super locked into Charleston, but they had some good teams the last couple of years, and you pay a little bit more attention to him. I'm not well versed in the Pat Kelsey lore, but I will say my initial reactions are that he might be a little crazy for the Louisville, like from when he's taken over the Louisville job, and I'm basing it off of this, Mike. He was I'm sure you saw this after the Bahamas tour. He's quoting Winston Churchill, and I think the application of the Winston Churchill quote was actually correct, and it made total sense. So I'm not like ripping on him for misapplying a quote. It was more the fact that like he's turning to Churchill quotes. It's more that he's like, you know, like he's a guy that I get the feeling that this is going to be a common occurrence with him, that he's going to be like, you know, this world leader, this military leader, this. I read a lot of books about like the art of war and bullshit like that. Like he feels like that kind of guy. That's the vibe I got out of that. Number 2, I saw your tweet where he said that he didn't even go outside when he was in the Bahamas because coaching at, what was it? I'm paraphrasing. Coaching at Louisville is like being at Disney World every day. I don't need to go outside.
Yeah.
He's in the Bahamas, and he like doesn't even go to the beach because he's like, I don't need to go to the beach. I'd much rather break down film for Louisville basketball than spend any time on the beach. Kind of crazy. The most damning thing about him being crazy, though, Mike, is that he's a Bosco guy. That Rico Bosco
He is.
He and Pat Kelsey have a relationship, and I don't know. Those three things together tell me he might be a little crazy, but I'm trying to figure out is it the right amount of crazy? You're saying it is, so I'll buy in. That's all I need to hear from you.
I think at his introductory press conference, I think he quoted like Thoreau or Walden, and then Jack like 5 minutes later. So I was like, all right, I'm all in on this stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to become the new Bosco. I'm trying to weasel my way in there and like be his like new go-to. I think we're trying to make that happen. But no, man, like he gives that quote about not going outside, which, maybe it's bullshit, maybe it's not. But he's like, coaching at Louisville is Disney World. It's just such and I hate to keep comparing things to the last regime, but it's kind of hard not to when you're still, when that's still fresh. You go from Kenny Payne, who gets the job, and then goes to New York for 2 weeks after he gets the job and does nothing, which has come out since he got fired. I think most people knew it. People were like, what the hell is this guy doing? And who, like, every time he spoke, which was very rarely before he started coaching, was like, yeah, I didn't have to take this job. Like, they basically had to beg me to take it. And we're like, it's like, this is fucking Louisville. Like, what are you talking about? Like, coaches would walk here. And so now you've got that. And then you turn it with Pat Kelsey, who's like, this is, the greatest. I've been working my whole life to get to this point. And again, like, maybe it's just he's trying to hype the fan base up, but we need a little bit of that. Like, we need to be reminded we're pretty. And so far, he's proving himself to be the right type of crazy. I love that he and Jeff Brom have this relationship, because Brom, the football coach here, is the same dude. Like, these guys don't have hobbies. Like they do sports, and they would rather go to like an 8 p.m. Louisville field hockey game than like watch a movie or something. So they've become fast friends. It just feels like the culture here at U of L is the coolest it's been in a while.
I saw that. Brom went to the Bahamas, right?
Yeah, he was there. They started. He went to their first game, talked to the team, and then they had their first day of fall camp the next day at 12:45. So he had to fly back in the morning. But Jeff Brom, he's a Louisville guy. He's a diehard U of L basketball fan. He always has been. And it was cool, I think, for the players, because you've got so many people that don't, they don't know anything about Louisville. Yeah. It's cool to hear, I think, from former players and coaches and people who grew up around here, just how much this means to people.
No, I think they're really, that I have you on often to laugh at you and Louisville and all that, but I really do feel like there is serious juice now, and that I don't expect you guys to be in the Final Four this year or anything like that, but you will be relevant, and above all else, you'll be fun to watch. Like, that's what stood out to me from the Bahamas things. Like, never mind that you blew teams out, because Pat Kelsey likes to get up and down and play a lot of guys, but making threes, racking up assists, like just simple concepts like that, which, like, as much as you want to shit on Kenny Payne for not shooting, like, I remember, and maybe I misremember, but like the last couple of Chris Mack teams couldn't shoot either. Like, this has been a problem, I feel like, when I've watched Louisville basketball going back to, like, Nwora was the last guy that was like a shooter on the team that I remember. Like, I don't know, maybe there are other guys, but for a long time in my mind, Louisville basketball has been like kind of gross to watch, and even when you're winning, it's like, it's been that way for a few years, and this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun for neutral fans to turn on a television and see Louisville basketball playing, and whether you care if the Cardinals win or not, like, you'll actually want to watch the game, which is something I've been missing in my life. So I'm fired up about that. And I just wanted you to know that, Mike. For all the years that I've twisted the knife and laughed at your expense, we're here now, and I'm fired up for Louisville basketball.
I was about to say, we've been talking for 15 minutes, and it's been like a legitimate basketball conversation for the first time in, I think, 5 years. So I've enjoyed it. I don't know if anybody else is enjoying this, but it's great for me. I told you this when it happened, but a few weeks ago, we went to French Lick to play. Like, the boys were like playing some golf and the girls were doing stuff. It was a bunch of us are turning 40, and we played the Pete Dye course, which is super hard. I didn't play very well, but like the 6th hole, our caddy, he's like starts talking about, he's a big Ohio State fan, but he's like, I'm actually a basketball guy. Like, I'm a college basketball fanatic. And he drops your name. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I actually like go on his podcast every now and then. I was like, he basically has me on whenever he just wants to shit on Louisville. And the guy quickly, shout to Joe if you're listening to this, he snaps out of caddy mode immediately, and he just goes, oh shit, you're that guy. And I was like, I am that guy. He's like, you're hilarious. He goes, I've got like 3 or 4 people I got to call after this round's over to tell them that I caddied for you. He was like all this stuff, and he followed me that night. So shout out to my guy Joe.
Yeah. But no, it got bad, Mike. Every time you come on, it was just like, do you know which leg Rick Pitino ejaculated on? And The strippers, Mike, talk to me about them. And Dino Gaudio's extortion. Like, what was that? Every
Even when
question was
things
about
were
that.
good,
Yeah,
even when things were good, you would text me, and then invariably the week that we were supposed to do it, something would go. It's like, oh yeah, we have
that's
a coach
right.
who's a
That's
coach. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
it was,
I
yeah,
remember
it was
the 27-point collapse against Duke, stuff like that.
That's right. It was like, hey, let's talk about positive little basketball, dude. They blew a 27-point lead.
Yeah.
But the assists are. I mean, you mentioned this. They had 38 assists in the first game. If that had been an actual game, it would have set a program record. They made, I think, 22 threes in that game, which would have been the second most in program history. So, I mean, you don't expect that when they get to actual competition, but you know, they're going to play the Alabama style. And it's like, I don't know, it's jarring a little bit for me as somebody who has watched like Rick Pitino, Denny Crum, and then, you know, Chris Mack and Kenny Payne, to see them just completely turn down open mid-range shots. Like, it's going to take a while to get used to. Like, you know, you see like a guy with an open 8-footer, you're like, you know, shoot it, dude. And, and like, we're just not going to. But it's, I think once everyone gets used to it, it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
You and I are in similar positions where our rivals hired coaches this offseason. First of all, our teams hired coaches this offseason, but then our rivals also hired coaches this offseason. And you can disagree with me. I find Mark Pope to be very likable. I find Dusty May to be very likable. But the point is, the rivals have hired coaches that, as we sit here today, we do not hate. And again, you can push back on that if you want. How are we going to handle this, Mike? What does the Louisville Kentucky rivalry look like in a situation where you're no longer hating John Calipari? It's like it's got to be a little confusing as to what you're going to latch onto now when you look at that program as it stands today. I'm sure things will reveal themselves, but where's your headspace as we move forward where both programs have new coaches and the other guy, there's kind of nothing to my knowledge that you can hate about him, because I'm in a similar position with Dusty May and I need help thinking through all this.
Well, you can hate Dusty May because, again, he's a bitch. There you go. But I did love,
a bitch, just that simple.
Like both sides, Louisville, Kentucky fans have kind of like, it's been tepid because neither one got their first choice. Both got turned down by Scott Drew. Both initially, like, Louisville fans were like, we're not going to get Pat Kelsey. Kentucky fans are like, we're not going to get Mark Pope. And then it happens, and he wins both of us over. So I think it was kind of like calm for a while. And then they had the TBT game between Louisville and the UK, and they had like an on-court brawl.
There's an actual fight, yeah.
I'm getting more shit from UK fans on Twitter than I've gotten like after they beat us in football last year. Like, so you're like, all right, we're going to be just fine. But it is, you know, Pat Kelsey came on my radio show a couple of weeks ago and was like, I hate to say this, like, I've met Mark Pope once, and I thought he was a super nice guy. So obviously I'm not rooting for him or anything, but like, I don't have anything against him right now. All it's going to take, though, and it may not be this year, it may be year two, something's going to happen in one of those games where they're going to become mortal enemies. Like you know, somebody's going to complain about it in a call, or somebody's going to get into it with an opposing player. Like Kelsey got into it with Dusty May and FAU last year in their like early season game. He got into it with the player, and then he got into it with Dusty May. Like, he's going to be hated by coaches in the ACC because of how intense he is in games.
Yeah.
And it may carry over into the rivalry because he's gonna play it up. He's a Cincinnati guy. He knows about Xavier UC. Like, they're fine for now. But I promise you, if we're having the same conversation in like 24 months, Mark Pope and Pat Kelsey are going to hate each other.
Yeah.
And respective fan bases are going to hate both those guys for
sure.
How
can you not? Like, you have to, if you want to win over your fans, you have to eventually hate the other guy. Yeah. The scenario I see is Kirk Kriisa is right in the middle of something. I think Kirk Kriisa is the player. I think Kirk Kriisa, who, as a reminder to my listeners, is at Kentucky. That kind of like flew under the radar a little bit. But Kirk Kriisa is a guy, if you follow college basketball, you're aware of who Kirk Kriisa is. He is going to be playing at Kentucky this year. He's also wearing number 77. I noticed that. I was looking at the roster the other day, and he's wearing 77 for Kentucky. But I see him and Pat Kelsey fighting, and then away we go. Last thing before we go, Carlik Jones in the Olympics. How fun was that for you to watch him balling out?
Man.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, they got screwed against Serbia. I stand by it. I'm a South Sudanese fanatic now. They got absolutely just destroyed by those FIBA refs, 31-6 for the foul calls. But Carlik is one of those weird guys. First of all, I'm always going to hate that he never got the real like Louisville treatment, because he played here during the kind of the funky COVID year, the year after COVID canceled the tournament. So he didn't get to play in front of packed house at the Yum Center. Louisville that year got like wrecked by COVID more than anybody. They had a bunch of delays and they ended up missing the NCAA tournament. They were the first team left out because of they only played like 20 games or something. So we never really got to appreciate Carlik the way that we were supposed to. But watching him as a pro, he's one of those dudes. Like I don't know what else he has to do. Like he was G League MVP a couple of years ago. Every time the Bulls called him up, he produced, and he just can't get a full-time contract. And then he goes up against the best players in the world for Team USA in the pre-Olympic game and has a triple-double, nearly like single-handedly wins the game. The guy's an absolute beast. And, Louisville's gotten to a point now. They had a good run there with NBA players for a while. And now I think they've only got 2 guys in the league. I think it's just Donovan and Terry Rozier. I guess Damian Lee is still in, but like Jordan Wara just left, Gorgui Dieng just retired. Russ Smith didn't catch on. So it's the NBA production that Louisville has had in recent years is definitely tapering off.
Yeah.
It would be great to see Carlik get a shot in the league. He was the man. It was fun watching him this summer.
Yeah, it is confusing when you just watch a guy and every single time you watch him, he's good, and you're never really given a clear answer as to why he's not given a shot. But I don't know. People smarter than us seem to think that he's not NBA worthy. But yeah, I'm with you. Every time I watch Carlik Jones, that was one of the fun subplots of the Olympics for me. Was I love Team USA and couldn't get enough of watching them. But then just you turn on the TV and watch like other countries playing, and to just recognize guys from college basketball and get fired up about them. And Carlik Jones I didn't realize he was on South Sudan until that exhibition game, and then I was watching. I was like, that's the fucking guy from the fucking thing. Oh my god! I got so excited. And then he was killing us, and I wasn't quite as excited as we were almost gonna lose to them. All right, Mike, this is great, man. You fired up for football? What is Louisville football looking like? Brom, last year you overachieved a little bit, or I can't remember. You were ranked, and then did you fall off a little bit at the end? What was the last year?
They won 10 games. They played in the ACC championship game, but lost.
That's right. That's right.
We basically looked so bad losing to a bad Florida State team, and then didn't let them look good enough that we kept them out of the playoff. It was like
That's right.
We're like, we couldn't score.
I remember now.
Quarterback looked terrible, and then we lost our Sun Bowl game. So it was, they started off 10-1, then lost to Kentucky, which people have not stopped talking about around here since it happened, and then lost the conference championship game, and then lost their bowl game. So they lost their last 3. But they're portal heavy again. They're going to play Notre Dame up there at the end of September. We'll see how good they are at that point. I think that there's a lot of optimism. 8-4, 9-3, 10-2. It's all on the table.
There we go. Great time to be a Louisville fan. I'm happy for you. I got to get down to. I've never been to the KFC Yum Center, so I got to this season. I'm going to come to a game. You guys hosting Kentucky?
We're at Rupp.
You're at Rupp this year.
They got Tennessee the first Saturday.
Oh,
of the
really?
Season. It's going to be nuts. Like people, the fan base is ready to blow as long as they don't lose an exhibition game, which I'm like, schedule a local high school team. Whatever you do, don't lose the
schedule a women's team. Just play the women's.
Let's not lose this momentum, but they'll play Morehead State opening night and then Tennessee that first Saturday night. And that should be, it's a bye week for football. They scheduled it right. If they can win that game, I think people will lose their minds.
I got to throw that on the calendar, dude. Make it down for that. All right, Mike, you're the best. Thanks for making time, man.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, we're a handful of days removed from the United States winning gold in the Olympics. LeBron wins MVP. Steph Curry, the final, what was it, 247, 240, I forget what the 250-ish, hits 4 threes. It was I guess I'll start by just saying that like the last 2 games, especially the semifinal, the comeback against Serbia, and then the gold medal game. Now that I've had a few days to sleep on it, I think that was the most enjoyable basketball I've ever watched in my life. It's the most I've felt like, it's the most I've like just said to myself, why can't every game be like this? And the stakes are incredibly high. It's an Olympic gold medal. Olympics come around once every 4 years, and yet at times, Tate, as you and I have been talking through the exhibition cycle and the start of the Olympic group stages, and even like the knockout rounds where we're beating Brazil by 1,000. There is a sense that like, does this actually matter? And was it Devin Booker said, not that I disagree with him, but he said it's like harder to win an NBA championship than an Olympic gold medal. And then that started a discussion where people like, what matters more? And everyone's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's NBA championship. Gold medals don't matter. And I guess the reason I'm saying all of that is to say if you ask an average basketball fan, an average American, how much is a gold medal? How much does it matter to a player's legacy? How much does it matter to you as a fan that your team wins it, et cetera, et cetera? If you ask them on the wrong day, they might shrug their shoulders and say, I don't really. But every so often you need a reminder that like, oh shit, yeah, this is a huge deal. It's like us versus the world. It's once every 4 years. This matters. And I guess that's my way of saying it. Like it probably doesn't feel like it's that high of stakes. It wouldn't have felt like that high of stakes if I would have told you that Steph needed to save America. Like if I would have told you 2 months ago that Steph's going to need to save America in the gold medal game, and it's going to go down as like maybe the most heroic thing he's ever done in his basketball career, you would have been like, come on, dude. In a fucking Olympic game, Team USA, we win how many gold medals? We win it all the time. And yet if you were watching and you walked away from that believing that was like the seminal, like that is the Steph Curry snapshot in time. If you need to show somebody if I need to show my kids that aren't born yet what it was like to watch Steph Curry play basketball, I'll point to that moment above all of his Warriors moments, which there are countless number of those as well.
After watching that in real time, I didn't want to be like a prisoner of the moment and overreact with any crazy statements. Like you said, now we're a few days removed. That was without question the most memorable 250 in Steph Curry's career. Was that not the most memorable sequence this sounds crazy, in basketball history? That was awesome.
Yeah, I'd have to.
Like everyone knew who was shooting that ball at the end, and then they had two on him, and then he threw it from the hip.
I'll allow it. I would probably push back if you give me some thought.
No, I agree.
Jordan Steele of Karl Malone, and then hitting the shot over Russell, and there. But the point stands.
Was awesome.
Point stands. What an incredible sequence. For him to even attempt to step back over two guys. Was stupid, and like we all were fine with it. I'm speaking on behalf of all the Americans watching. Like there wasn't anybody that's like, what is he doing? Don't shoot that. But in a vacuum, if he does that, like the third possession of the game, he'd be like,
crazy.
What the fuck is he doing? But we were all fine with it because he was so hot, and then he makes it, and you're just like, I cannot believe.
Or would you
he raises the bar over and over.
Would you consider yourself to be a good shooter or a great shooter?
I would only consider myself a good shooter, honestly.
Have you ever been in that type of zone? Like
like a Steph Curry zone?
I guess I consider you to be, like, comparatively against the rest of the world, you're a great shooter. But in terms of the elite basketball players, I just don't understand how I've never seen shot, okay, heat check, okay, heat check. But how do you shoot it from here?
Like, I got to be careful when I talk like this because, like, I'm obviously not comparing myself to Steph. I'm just trying to draw from my own experiences, which aren't much, but they're there. There have been times where, like, the hot hand is a real thing. Like, it is a real thing where if you're feeling it, the rim feels like it's a mile wide. It feels like the circumference or the diameter, I should say, of the rim is a mile across, and you're going to make anything you throw up. That is a very real
quite
feeling.
Literally threw it up.
And he feels that way. I mean, if he hits like two in a row, he feels that way. That's almost his default. It's like I'm going to make anything I throw up. And yeah, he did throw that up. But yeah, I think that's what's so shocking is, like, anybody that's played basketball has had a moment, or anybody that's any good or could shoot a ball. You've had a moment in your life where you're like, I'm hot, I'm going to make anything, and you take some crazy shots. You take a crazy heat check. You sometimes hit them, and you're sometimes like, goddamn, I'm famous Michael Jordan shrugged shoulders. He's like, I can't miss tonight. There are moments where, like, even great players, like, are elevated to, like, I can't believe what the fuck's going on right now, and they're surprised by themselves. That's what I think made Steph the fourth shot against France at the end, the ultimate dagger, is even all the great players in the world continue to be shocked by this guy. Like, you have guys that have done this themselves to a certain level. You have guys, the LeBron-Jameses of the world are watching what he's doing, and they're still like, how the fuck did he do that? And it's like, well, if LeBron's stunned, then, like, how do you think the rest of us feel, LeBron? Like, it's just, I don't know. I do think having a few days to think on it, like, for me, that is, reasonable minds will disagree, but I think that was, like, the Steph Curry sequence. It was 4 threes in the final 3 minutes.
And if you take a step back, like, you can take a step back now, decades later, and talk about, like, Michael's moments and stuff like that. If you take a step back and describe the moment that Steph had, it was on the road.
Yeah, it was
in France for a gold medal. And he went 4 for 4 in the last 250 of the game, 12 points, won us the world championship.
And he did it after. I say this lovingly. This isn't me taking shots at him. I mean, just saying what we all saw. He sucked ass up
bad.
until like the Serbia game.
Mm-hmm.
Up until the Serbia game, he was bad, and then he came alive. Did you see the Steph was doing a selfie video, and then Anthony Edwards was like
showed up 3 days ago. Well, I've got the comparisons. First 4 games, 7 points per game, 25% from 3. Last 2 games, 30 points per game, 65%.
How many did he hit? 7? It wasn't like 17 threes.
He made 20 field goals in the last 2 games.
Didn't he hit? I think he hit 17 threes in the last 2 games combined. I think that's what the number was, 17.
So the way you're talking about it, Titus, MVP?
Yeah, I know LeBron did win MVP, which I don't have a problem with. But Steph, that's always the issue with Steph and LeBron discussions is that Steph. Okay, so I didn't necessarily plan on doing this, but we're here now. When you talk about the legacies of those guys, there is a contingent of basketball fans that overvalues, frankly, Steph Curry in terms of like his all-time ranking, which is to say that they do not take into account the defense.
Mm-hmm.
They do not take into account when he's not red hot, that like he's a great ball handler. He can be an assist man. He brings way more to an offense than just shooting, but at the same time, if his shots aren't falling, he kind of teeters on like, is he a liability? Is he not? We're not really sure. If Steph, the rare occasions when he's 1 for 7, you're like, he's kind of doing nothing out there right now, right? When you think of Steph, when you close your eyes and you just picture Steph Curry, all of that washes away. You never ever think about any of that, and I think people then remember only the good with Steph, which his good is unlike anyone else's good really ever in the history of basketball. There's never been MJ was different. It was very fun too. It was different. LeBron different. Like everyone has LeBron's and MJ's felt like more similar, whatever. What I'm saying is like Steph, there's like a sense that like what Steph does when he gets going, one, no one else on earth can do it, but 2, like my brain couldn't even comprehend that this was possible until he came along.
Until you saw it, yeah.
So then when you talk about Steph, you get I do it too. You get rightfully carried away where you're like, is he like the greatest player of all time? And he's not. He's just definitively not. But he can be the greatest. That's where like when people argue GOATs, like you have to sprinkle in my GOAT, and you're like, listen, I know that's what Kobe people do. They're like, Kobe's my GOAT. I don't fucking pick your own GOAT. Kobe's my GOAT. And what they're kind of saying is like, I concede that the numbers don't back this up. The championships don't back this up. The esteem from their peers don't back this up. There's really no data that backs this up other than I feel really fucking good when I watch this guy do what he does best. Well, that's really all that matters to me. Is like,
so
I have so
GOAT?
much fun. Yeah. So to me, Steph is my GOAT because like I have so much fucking fun watching him play, and that might be enough, Tate. You know, like that might be enough in a GOAT argument.
That was one of my biggest takeaways from the Olympics was, is this what it feels like to be a Warriors fan? That was
I've been get to do that all the time, dude.
Rooting against him for a decade now. How much fucking fun was that for him to have USA on his chest and get to cheer for that?
Well, broader discussion based off of that. How long? What's the honeymoon phase for with these guys, with this group of guys? How long are you going to be like, I can't shit on Joel Embiid, dude. He won the Serbia game for us, kind of like we can't.
So we get back in the NBA season next year, and all of a sudden they go back onto their own separate teams.
Yeah.
First of all, I really did enjoy cheering for LeBron, KD, Steph. Why are they not on? And I get there's other role players and everything, but none of them are favorite to be next year in the championship. Why are the Lakers not good?
Why are the Lakers not better?
They had 2 of the players that finished the game for us.
Well, I know it is confusing because the Celtics win the championship, and then the Celtics guys like USA just kind of doesn't want them. I mean, they did. Like Drew was big, and Derek White had some big moments. Tatum obviously like got a lot of DNPs and was ultimately Steve Kerr had no use for him. Jaylen Brown wasn't even invited to the team. It is confusing. An NBA fan would be confused by what they're seeing on the. And I think that's what made it so special is because you got these 3 guys, Durant, Steph, and LeBron, who we've been waiting forever to see them on a court together. Maybe we haven't even been waiting. We didn't even know it was possible. We just like like the idea of watching these three guys who have defined the generation of basketball playing together in a competitive game has been awesome. But what added to it was like they all the second they get the gold medal put around their neck, they now get to jump on a plane and fly back to their shitty ass teams, which like the Suns are better than the Lakers. So that I don't mean to lump them in, but is anybody really sitting here today saying I expect the Phoenix Suns to compete for a championship? They're good. They could make like the West Finals maybe, but like are they really going to win?
And we're talking Suns. You know who else was not most valuable of the team, but very valuable on Team USA was Book.
Yeah,
and I mean
he was the unsung as Steve Kerr said, the unsung MVP. But it's a bummer to just know that like LeBron, we went from like, oh my God, LeBron, Captain America, this was so fun. He's so old and look at his gray hair and he's balding and he's still, oh my God, he's the MVP of the Olympics and he's still playing at this level. And now LeBron has to go back and get sucked into the black hole of the Los Angeles Lakers and sucked into the nepotism bullshit with his son. And like that's going to be the talking point with this Lakers season. And how many games into the season before it's like fire everybody, trade everybody, and then those are all the discussions around LeBron. And then Steph, all the discussion, like he doesn't have Clay, and Draymond has lost his marbles for real this time, and like he's a detriment to the team, and like are the Warriors washed, and those become all the discussion. We'll be like 12 games into the season, and that'll be all the discussions around Steph. And the Suns will be, do they play defense, and can they like ever put it together? There's only one ball with all these guys, and do they play well together? Are they ever going to win it? And like the toxicity of the NBA discussions is coming, and I guess like I just want to bask in the glow of the most fun basketball I've ever watched in my life.
None of that is as fun as this.
No, yeah,
and I'm genuinely like, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the biggest Olympics guy in the entire world, but what we had this summer, leading off with the exhibition games and the drama and the Kerr and but then we all came together and Steph Curry's final 2 minutes. That was fun.
Here's a question for you: is that Steph Curry's final 2 minutes in a USA uniform? Because I have positioned myself to be one who is fully convinced that LeBron-James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry are not done at the Olympics, and they will play in 2028. And I'm going to make my case for you right now, Tate. Here's my case. I just really want them to. I fucking want them to so bad. And I just really want it. Please.
I was thinking the same thing. I was going to ask you, is there anything that can happen to get those three to come back?
All right, I'm going to give you the real pitch. Now Steph's the hardest one. So we'll save Steph for last, and we'll save Steph for last. But here's the pitch. I'll start with LeBron because I think LeBron I don't think he's the easiest to get, but LeBron is the juiciest LeBron is the juiciest case to be made, and I have
and the oldest case. So this has to be your best.
So I believe that other than I believe this: if you're someone who values stats, Tate, if you're someone who values accolades, he just won the Olympic MVP. I didn't even know they named that, by the way, until this year. I didn't know we did that. I just
and now we're debating it.
Right.
First thing
I thought the Olympics were like you won a gold medal. That's
team
enough.
game.
Yeah. They're not. They wanted to get us arguing over stuff too. If you're someone who values the eye test, whatever it is, everything about LeBron James, other than simply his age and maybe the fact that he's graying and bald and kind of looks a little old, everything about him says he's still got shit in the tank. Everything about him says he's still playing at a high level. I don't know if I'm in a position to argue that he's like in the prime of his career, but like.
So we just took
he hasn't fallen off.
We took the best players over to the Olympics, right? Yeah. LeBron James led us in minutes, assists, rebounds, field goal percentage, and he was 0.6 away from leading us in points.
Yeah, like
he's our best player.
He's obviously not in the prime of his career, but also like maybe the prime of his career is just 20. Maybe the prime of his career is just his career. It's just like that's how LeBron operates. So no matter how you slice it, like he has a lot left in the tank. He's a guy who spends millions of dollars literally on his body every offseason. We hear about it all the time. He's getting procedures here and there. He's going to countries you can't find on a map and getting random ass procedures and massages and cold tubs and all sorts of shit. So like it stands to reason that it seems crazy that he'll be 43 when the next Olympics roll around.
Right now.
That's too old. But also everything about LeBron has thrown out the the things that we think we know about these athletes, right? So I throw that out. I disregard that he's 43. Now, the mental part of it, sure, maybe there's something like, I'm kind of tired. I'm just tired. I just want to go chill. I don't want to do this anymore. But here's my argument. Michael Jordan in 1992 won an Olympic gold medal with the Dream Team. In 1996, the Olympics were in which country? The following Olympics after Michael Jordan won the gold medal. They were in America.
United States.
They were in the United States. They were in Atlanta. There was a belief that Michael Jordan, who had retired in between 92 and 96 and went and played baseball, came back, did not win in 95, did not win the championship. In 96, they win the title against the Sonics. There was a belief, and in fact, Team USA saved 2 spots on the roster. They had set the roster, and they saved 2 spots because they thought Michael Jordan will surely take one of these. Now, Jordan's point of view was, I already won my gold medal. He won one in 84 when he was a college player. He won another in 92, and he was like, you know what? I've got my gold medals. I'll let others get their chance. Whether it was that, whether it was like he's tired and he just wants to save his body, because obviously back then winning Olympic gold wasn't as hard. Like it was like, it's kind of, does it mean anything? Like we're so much fucking better than everybody. I don't know if this means anything. Point being, Michael Jordan had an opportunity when the Olympics came to the United States to be the face of United States basketball in the United States, capitalize on that moment in the 90s when he was the biggest star in the world, and just grab the whole fucking world by the balls again in the same way he did in 92, but this time it's the sequel and whatever. He chose not to do that. But what he did was he opened the door for LeBron-James to do that. LeBron-James to look at the landscape and be like, the Olympics are in my backyard, literally. He lives in Los Angeles. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He could sleep in his bed every single night for these Olympic Games. And it's a chance to one-up MJ. It's a chance to do what MJ couldn't.
So is your pitch to him, which I think is, in my mind, the only way you get him to play, which is to convince him that this would separate him from Michael Jordan.
At this point, LeBron's only play for GOAT status. If let's face it, there are people that will never crown him the GOAT, whatever. But his only play at converting people to his side of the GOAT argument and to enhance his legacy is just keep running up the score. Just keep grabbing accolades wherever you can get them. Oh, there's a gold medal over there. Let me get that one. Let me grab that. There's what do we got over here? We got first team all defense. Fuck that. I don't need that one. What do we got? I'll take this. And it's just like he's got to and the points, all time points, up. The assist, up. That's his only play, and I think winning another gold medal would be an argument for LeBron.
So I was going to ask you, are you being genuine that this would be LeBron's 4th gold medal? Yeah. Mike has 2. Is that actually factored into a GOAT debate, which is LeBron has 4 gold medals? It won't,
like, if it, like, are you talking like a good faith, like let's actually talk about a debate? Then yeah, I think it should matter. I don't think it will. I think there's like people who love Jordan like aren't gonna be like, oh, you know what, I changed my mind. But I would tell LeBron that they would, and I'd be like, LeBron, you know the way to win people over is to, I think United States are going to want LeBron, obviously, and I think there's a part of him that will want it, but it goes beyond that, Tate. There's this. LeBron obviously desires playing in the NBA with his son. His son was just drafted. Some would say, it was nepotism and it was undeserving. Either way, he's arrived on the Los Angeles Lakers and he's on the roster and he has a guaranteed spot on the roster and he has a guaranteed contract. And do you know for how many years that contract is? Off the top of your head, if you had to guess.
For 4 years.
It is for 4 years, Tate. So the fantasy that I've painted in my head is that LeBron will in 4 years, when it becomes pretty obvious and he can't even deny it anymore, that his son probably is not an NBA caliber player. And it's like, we had 4 good years, but now it's time to, I can't do this forever, son. We had a fun run though. LeBron looks at everything and says, what if I just go on a farewell tour in year 4? The entire year is a farewell tour. It's a farewell tour for the world to see me playing basketball. I announce, because he's doing a farewell tour. When he retires from basketball, everyone knows it. He's going to do a farewell tour. This will be the last chance you get to see me play basketball. This will be the last chance I get to play with my son, so I'm going to soak that in. But then, at the very end of it all, I'm going to cap off my entire basketball playing career by playing for Team USA in Los Angeles for a gold medal.
Titus, I mean this with the utmost respect, sincerity, and seriousness. I came into this show thinking, no way, he's done.
Yeah.
You need to get in LeBron's ear.
That makes a ton of sense.
Because that
doesn't it?
makes, if he plays for the next 4 years and then says, so when the NBA Finals end that June, and he says, this will be, I am Mr. America, Captain America in Los Angeles. We're going to end this with a gold medal.
Yeah.
And he walks off into the sunset.
I think that's part of his last. I think it's more the NBA Finals end in 3 years, and we're like where we're at right now in 3 years, and LeBron's like, this is going to be my last year, and I'm going to play in the Olympics, and that's going to be it. Because think about LeBron does care about his image. He cares immensely, and that's what people hold against him. Whereas MJ gave off a sense that he doesn't care about his image.
LeBron
in a little bit
more
in a
so
way,
than anything,
which is why his image became so big, and everyone's like, he's so fucking cool. MJ's the coolest guy ever. LeBron has cared every step of the way about what people think of him and how he's perceived and all that sort of thing. And what's a better look to go off into the sunset or to retire, losing in a play-in game in Los Angeles, the last we see of LeBron is he scored 21 points and grabbed.
You're
6 boards
100% right, but is it the ultimate gamble though? Because I will say you're right. If he rides off into the sunset and loses in the playoff game to the Pelicans, and then he's just done, and then we have to watch the rest of the playoffs, that's a sad ending for LeBron.
Right.
However, if he rides off into the sunset after winning a gold medal in Los Angeles, it's the greatest ending of all time. But what if we lose?
We're not going to lose, though. That's the thing. That's the thing, because you haven't let me finish my whole spiel here.
Oh, we have to win at the end of this proposal.
We're going to win at this thing. But just imagine the lasting image of LeBron James. Whether you think he's the GOAT or not, he is unquestionably no rational person has him below 3. You couldn't possibly have him below 3. I mean, some might throw Kareem in there as 2, but I
was going to say, I hate LeBron, and
you would say it too.
I think he's a GOAT.
I think he's one. Yeah, I don't have a problem. I think
GOAT.
he's one. Yeah, and I fucking love Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But LeBron James is Michael Jordan retired 3 times by the
and we're gonna
by
do
the time
this
he
for,
was LeBron's age.
And we're gonna do this 4 more years. When you look back on everything, it's not gonna be.
I know. So a guy of his stature, a guy who cares about his image, a guy who all of it. The lasting image of LeBron James in a basketball uniform is stepping on the gold medal podium and waving goodbye to the fucking United States of America in Los Angeles.
That's really good.
Of course, that makes sense.
That's really good.
I think that's what's going to happen. So, LeBron's in. We just convinced LeBron because we sent this clip to Cody. Clip this and just tweet at King James. You like what you see? Just say.
And let's be honest, LeBron. I know LeBron more than anyone. LeBron does not make his own decisions. LeBron gets together in his little barbershop of friends, and if someone has a good idea, LeBron runs with it.
That's true.
If you can get this, you don't even need to talk to LeBron.
Bill Simmons told LeBron to do the decision. That's
Cody, send this to Rich Paul. You send this to Rich Paul.
Did you say you know LeBron more than anyone?
More than anybody. Okay. Did you see this clip?
So you're saying you know LeBron more than anyone knows LeBron, or you know LeBron more than you know anyone in your life?
I know LeBron more than anyone knows LeBron, and everyone crying about this LeBron James telling this kid off, before going and dancing in this thing. Yeah. People forget that happened to me 20 years ago.
Oh,
I've said that. I knew that was going to, I would have told the kid, don't go up to LeBron. He's not good with kids. That's what I would have said.
All right.
Well, we got LeBron.
Anyway, LeBron's in. The pitch to KD.
First is LeBron's in.
It's LeBron. 1, LeBron's in. 2, he's a hooper, dude. You're a hooper. And I think KD is actually going to be the easiest one to get to come back. KD is Mr. America. KD is very adamant about I just want to hoop and I want to play till the wheels fall off. And with KD, I'd be more worried about his health. He has a torn Achilles or ruptured Achilles, whatever the correct description is. I would be more worried about that with him, but I think KD's in just because he's I want to hoop and I want to win gold medals, and I'll always, as long as the call comes, I'll answer it.
How much do you think KD is concerned with his image?
Not at all.
So him
I
being...
feel like KD does not give a fuck about it. In some ways it's endearing. In other ways it's why are you tweeting at 13-year-olds?
Right. That's the ultimate question. But so it would be his 5th gold medal. If he comes back and wins it, he would be... That's without question.
I think KD is exclusively motivated by I just want to play basketball in the most fun environments I can and the most fun
in Los Angeles and the Olympics will be a fun environment.
I think he has a great time playing with Team USA. How could you not? You win gold medals. So I could see him coming back for that reason. And then Steph, basically the argument is just LeBron and KD are back and we need you. That's pretty much it. I don't know. Steph's going to be the hardest one because Steph feels the most likely to be I don't know, man. I'm kind of over it. I kind of did it. And especially you want to talk about lasting images. Steph. going out the way he did is pretty fucking iconic in terms of Olympic basketball. If that was like the only glimpse of Steph Curry in the Olympics we see, that's pretty fucking iconic. So that one might be harder, but I feel like LeBron and
would
KD
Steph would be a retirement age as well. Steph would be 40 years old at the next
Steph
Olympics.
would be 40, yeah. Steph would be 40.
We need, I think it's almost like when the Heat got together when the not 1 but 2, not 3, not 4.
Yeah.
We need one person to say I'm in if you're in.
And then the dominoes
and then
fall
they
from
all
there.
start falling.
So guys on the team that I expect back, and I'll be brokenhearted if they're not. Anthony Edwards,
Yep.
Devin Booker, Bam Adebayo. I think those three they have to be back. They're all very, very important. Edwards not as much, honestly, but like in 4 years, let's be honest.
I think Ant will be the man in 4 years.
He will be a super duper star. On this run, he wasn't completely unimportant, but he wasn't obviously the star. We thought there was a world
did
where
do this
maybe
show where it's like, is he the guy? Because he said he was the guy.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there was a path in my brain where like Anthony Edwards could put the whole world on notice and be like, I'm that fucking dude. That didn't really happen, but he still played well enough, and in 4 years he's going to be very important. I think Anthony Davis is a wild card as to whether or not he'll want to play. I do think the LA thing will help immensely, and if he's still in LA, that will push him over the edge and make him want to play. But you want to talk about a fucking winner, Anthony Davis, like, and perceptions of how NBA fans look at a guy versus like how the basketball world should look at a guy. Anthony Davis has won at every level of basketball he's played. He's dominated at every level. And there's a sense at the NBA level, like he should be up for Defensive Player of the Year every year. And I don't mean to say that people don't respect his game, but like there is a little bit of a sense that he's a pussy at times. There's a sense he's, there's a sense that he
goes out with more knick-knack injuries than anybody does.
There's a sense that like he doesn't have that dog, all that sort of thing. And then you look up and you look at Anthony Davis's resume and you're like, this guy's won everything. He's won everything there is to win. He's been a winner his whole life. So I want AD back, whatever it takes. Embiid, Tatum, and Halliburton, I think, are all going to get the call.
I mean, I would say Tatum has to be in your list of.
Tatum is 100% on my list. The reason I want him badly. He's
26.
I want Jason Tatum on the team badly in 4 years. I just don't know where his attitude is after this run. I don't know if he's like,
yeah.
My mom said I'm not coming back.
We're starting our own team.
Yeah, we're gonna start our own team.
How quickly can you start a country?
Hopefully, he's smart enough to know that like
he's up next.
He's up next. Yeah, it's fine.
I think
he had a good run last Olympics. Like it's fine. You'll be fine. But maybe he won't be fine if LeBron, KD, and Steph come back. But I want Tatum to come back. Embiid, I don't know. He's a fucking wild card because like on the one hand he's telling the French fans to suck it and he's like embraced American culture. On the other hand, I do sort of feel like he loves being a troll, and the Olympics being in LA, I wonder if he like wants to just not play for America just to troll America because now the Olympics are in America.
Can you flip flop like that?
Yeah. Maybe he plays for France and tells us to suck it.
And wins on our turf?
Yeah.
He does seem like a guy that likes to win on the other team's turf.
If there's a way for Joel Embiid to join France and tell us to suck it, he will do it. For sure.
I just don't
know. Yeah, I don't know if that's allowed, but obviously I would want him back because I've been an Embiid critic for a while. Not as loud as a lot of his critics, but we don't win a gold medal without him. So I want Embiid back. Halliburton is interesting. I think you throw like Jalen Brunson in there, who I love, but then I sort of wonder how his game will translate to FIBA. But also he's had success in FIBA events in the past, so he should be fine. But I don't think we can get Jalen Brunson on the Knicks in a USA uniform to like show up because it's a lot of ISO ball, a lot of foul baiting. I don't know if that shit would work on the FIBA levels.
Yeah.
But Jalen Brunson's a winner as well, and he'll do whatever it takes.
But we did show this year that we're looking for fit over just individual talent.
Right. I think Paolo Banchero is a lock to be in 2028. I think Chet Holmgren will be in the mix. I think Tyrese Maxey has my attention. We're gonna have a good team. We're gonna have a damn good team. But I do want LeBron, KD, and Steph back because it was different with them there, and I don't know. It was the most fun I've had watching basketball probably my entire life. So, yeah, I don't know. Gobert and Embiid. By the way, I forgot to. I wrote that down to talk about that. I thought that was hilarious when they had their little dust up and then reminded us why we all hate both of them.
Exactly.
Like you're both just like, what are we doing here? But no, Embiid's gonna be the hardest one for me because like we don't win the gold medal without him. But when you watch him sometimes in Philly and some of the antics and some of the He, the flopping, he falls like he doesn't just flop, dude. He like falls to the ground and like
that dunk was an all-time hilarious fall to the ground.
Yeah, he's a bad
everything
faller.
he does.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, I think
and moving forward, I don't know, man. I have to just be like, I don't know. He's my guy. He won my country gold medal.
Do you really? So I'm looking at our roster right now, and I would say stock risers, like in my like general opinion of them coming out of this. How cool is it that Kevin Durant came back and won? LeBron was Captain America. Steph Curry. Book was a huge stock riser. Even people coming in like doing their job. Derek White. Drew Holiday,
I would love him to be on the team. I don't know if they'll want him in 4 years.
Yeah, he'll be old.
Know. Yeah.
But the only one coming back to the NBA right now that I don't like feel like a huge like sense of pride, like that was our guy over the summer, is Embiid.
Yeah.
It was fun, but
I know it was the Serbia game though. We don't beat Serbia without him. We don't. He outplayed Jokic, and I love Jokic, and I would be the very first person to point out that once again, Nikola Jokic is better than Joel Embiid. If in fact that is what happened, that's not what happened.
Not in the game.
That's not what happened. So Embiid outplayed him, and if we don't have Embiid, we don't win the gold medal. And
if we didn't win,
I need to remind myself of that as the season unfolds.
Yeah,
I need to remind myself.
There in your ear.
But yeah, Halliburton tweeting that I didn't do anything but got an A on the group project. All of it was awesome. I was soaking it all in, and I don't know, it made me very happy, and it reminded me why I've always cared about the Olympics, and I think I've been put in a position where I've had to like weirdly justify why I'm interested in this. And are
you talking basketball specific or
basketball specific?
Gotcha.
Basketball. I have cared deeply about the United States in the Olympics for my entire life, mostly because the first Olympics I remember watching was the '92 Dream Team, and I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yeah,
and
good start.
The corpse of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are getting thrown out there, and they were what, like 30, 32 or something?
Yeah.
No, they weren't even that old.
Oh, you're saying, well, compared to now, people,
that's what I'm saying.
These LeBron and people, they were saying they were old at the time of the Dream Team, and now LeBron's
like Bird was like 32, and they're like, look at him.
Yep.
Look at this dead bitch.
We're talking
to hobble up and down the court.
LeBron playing at 43.
And we're like, dude, he's going to be in his
He'll
prime
be fine.
still. I'm throwing him out there for 35 minutes a night at 43. I remember watching the Dream Team, and so I fell in love with them. And then from there, it's like, 96, the Olympics are on home turf, and I'm 9 years old at that point. So I was really into the 96 team. I was a big Shaq guy too growing up, so Shaq was on the team in 96. He was supposed to be on the team in 92. He's on the team in 96. I was really fired up about that. Long story short, like I've cared about the United States basketball team at the Olympics for a long time, and not that people thought I was weird, but there was just a sense of like, well, we win every year. Like, how can you care that much? Like, what? And I do feel like for the first time, seriously ever in my life, I don't have to explain why anymore. I think anybody that watched that is like, that was sick as fuck.
That was the cool thing to do.
And people are like excited about 28. And if we don't have those three legends back, it might feel a little different. Maybe that was part of it. It was less about Team USA on this stage, and the rest of the world has caught up to where we can't take for granted that we're going to win every time. But, maybe it is as simple as we just wanted to watch KD and Steph and LeBron, and, 28 comes around, they don't play, people are out on it again. But for right now, it was awesome, and I loved every second of it, and I miss it. And I genuinely like woke up the next day and I was like, dude, I'm so sad that we're not going to get to see any more Olympic basketball. And I hope we take the World Cup seriously too. I hope this is like the start of it's a hard ask. It's a tough ask for sure.
You see, Ant said, hell nah.
Yeah, I know. I hope there's a world where someday it's like we have to throw, maybe not our top dogs, but like we're throwing like heat after heat, and we take it very seriously. And unfortunately, the only way to get there for real is like we have to lose more often. But we just lost in the World Cup. Germany just won the World Cup.
We did. What would a loss against Serbia or France have done? Would that have brought LeBron and them back, or would that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know. Yeah. Is that the Kanye
That's
thing?
The saying these days.
All right. Well, this was fun, man. Thanks for joining me to talk Olympics throughout the people. I feel like when we started talking about the exhibition games, there was a few people thought we were a little crazy. Like, what are we?
No, we were onto something.
Like, what are you doing? What are we talking about? An exhibition game with Team USA? And I was like, just wait and see. Just wait and see.
Most watched game since the 2017 finals.
22 million people were tuned in. That's crazy.
I know we don't need to beat a dead horse, but we've talked about it every show. FIBA's way better than the NBA.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
We would have had 6 timeouts and 6 reviews in Steph Curry's last.
I think that's what excited me is because like I have a reputation as being an NBA hater, and people think that I hate the players or something. I don't know who gives a fuck. People have a lot of opinions, but I get insecure about that sometimes because I'm a college basketball guy, and then like I'll watch the NBA and I'm like, I just wish it was just, and then they're like, but the players are so much better, and I go, I know the players are better, but I'm frustrated because the sport is not. I want to watch the players play the sport I love,
and that's why you've drawn to FIBA.
This doesn't feel like the sport I love. This feels like some bastardization of the sport I love. That like, what the fuck are we doing? And FIBA is it, Tate. I think FIBA
get the best players playing a fun game. Not as many interruptions.
Not as many interruptions. It feels like the basketball that I know it to be, and I love it, and I want more FIBA in my life. So yeah. Anyway, USA wins gold. All those guys are coming back. Cody, clip that and send it to LeBron, and we'll all be American heroes, really, if we can trace back to this moment in time as this being the reason that LeBron plays in 2028. I think we have to get a gold medal.
Get in his ear.
How do you feel about coaches not getting gold medals, by the way?
I hate it. However, people would argue that Steve Kerr would have been the reason that we didn't get the gold medal.
Deserve it.
Who we going in 2028 with? Is Spo the man?
Spoelstra.
His man?
It's going to be Spoelstra, which is... Does he have any experience coaching LeBron James and having success with it? Would that be an argument in favor of LeBron playing in 2028?
Does that help or hurt him coming back?
I don't know.
I have JJ Redick coaching him.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm going to go try to Google pictures of Eric Spoelstra and LeBron James on a bench together. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Photoshop a couple.
That might strengthen my argument. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thank you to Mike Rutherford for joining us. It was fun talking to him as well. Love every time Mike Rutherford comes on the show. And the new look Louisville basketball Cardinals have America's attention right now. We will see. Yeah, but thank you all for watching, listening. We'll be back next week. See you guys.